Here we are. We are back with episode 17 of The Pit. Today we have a very special guest. We have Team Notorious Co-Owner Roger, one of the people and the brands that have supported the EU scene so heavily in recent years. So I'm excited for this episode. How are we, Roger? How are we feeling today?
I'm good. I'm super excited as well. You already gave me a great introduction, of course. I love it. And yes, I am one of the co-owners for Team Notorious, and I also do content direction for the whole entire organization. But I'm excited to be on. Thank you for inviting me on. And we have a lot to talk about, in all honesty. I can feel everything's going crazy this past couple months. So,
Yeah, I mean, it's blowing up. We have two segments today for anyone watching, but if it gets a little bit off track, don't be surprised because there's so much to talk about that think things might just go on a tangent, but that's why we're here, right? We absolutely love it.
oh, yeah.
But
Oh, yeah.
let's get into the segments. The first segment I have for you is the Team Notorious Challenger history. I feel like before we can go forward, we must go back. You've done such wonderful things in this space. I feel like it's only right to highlight it. So for me, when you really cemented yourself in this space was in the Modern Warfare 2 season. You had an incredible year. I mean, some of the great achievements that year, I mean, they were endless, but you got first in EU Challenger Cup 3, 5, and 10, securing 6K. First in the Awaba Bobs 1K, which they put on for the community. Second, fourth, sixth, and eighth in the 4 stages of the Elite that season, securing 19K. Second at the Challenger Champ, securing 36K. And first at the Texas Open LAN event, securing the dub and securing 30K. Overall that season, right, the squad had a total of $92,000 without the inclusion of smaller tournaments. And the roster was Maple, Weeman, Eric Boom, and Metals. How helpful did you find it with that team sticking together through the entire season after the Stage 1 Elite Quals?
Yeah, it was wild how it all started up. We weren't expecting it at all. It was very storybook run of how everything did fall into place, and that those four were meant to play together. They even say it that was their like bread and butter team. They got along so well, and they got along with us so well. Of course, having them almost a whole year, like you said, it was unreal. We were not used to like having roster mania and changes because it was almost like we knew that they were just gonna stick together. But it was unreal. After that whole major one in Raleigh thing, we were kind of getting the taste of like, oh my gosh, like this could actually be a thing for us because it was our first time dealing with any of that. And when we got medals, it was even better. We were like, oh my gosh, like we had Parasite for Major One, of course. Sadly, Furious couldn't make it, which he's a great player too.
Yeah.
But we had Parasite, who I grew up watching. Right, I was like, oh my god, Parasite, that's my guy. Like I know who he is. And of course, after Major One, we get Metals, who I knew about Metals, and I was like, oh my god, he's actually a good player. But I wasn't like, I don't know how they'll mesh because he's very Spanish
Yeah.
fluent, not English fluent. Um, we had Eric, who was he still is iffy on his English, but he was more English fluent than Metals was. But that team meshed so well. I mean, I'm talking after Major 2 Boston, we were all getting together and we were talking to them like, hey, we're trying to help you guys as much as we can. We're going to give you guys what you need. And we didn't place great in Boston, of course, because that venue, I don't remember if anybody knows what happened in Boston last year, but the Saturday was like frozen in the whole entire venue. It was super cold. In all honesty, that's okay. Next major, I was busy doing work things with my side of what I do for my job, and they were at Texas and they won, and it was crazy. It was super crazy. But that whole year's storybook run, it was unreal, and yeah, I'm super happy that I had those four guys, including having medals in uh, Maple. Those guys are fans of other FPS games, and I'm a
Yeah.
big FPS game guy. I like CS:GO and all that, so we get to talk about that all the time. So cool relating.
That's great when you can have the personal relationships with such talented
Oh yeah.
players. Like it's just a W all around.
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
there's nothing bad to say about that roster. And then, I mean, after such a fantastic year in Modern Warfare 2, you go into Modern Warfare 3, where for me, you were looking like the team to beat. So you had a great start to the season. Placement wise, you'd won the first 2 Challenger Cups either side of Boston, where you got a top 12 placement. After
Mhm.
Boston, you made a slight change to the main roster where it was Vortex, Mythics, Weeman, and Harry. You then picked up Real or Rael, sorry, to replace Harry. Five incredible players that all arguably should have had a chance in the league. How great is it? How great was it being able to work around players like that this year?
So, of course, we had Wee Man last year, and we already had this super close relationship with him. He was excited to be back with us, and we were always trying to help him out as much as we could, even if he didn't choose to be under us or our brand at all. But when we merged with Deviants, it was super awesome working with Austin and Tyler and Dilly and all them. They're a super great group of guys, and we got to experience almost how close we were as well with org owners. Like in all honesty, that mesh of like, we're all personality wise, but we're just behind the scenes and all of it. It's like it's super fun to work with those guys. But yeah, I'm talking that is a talented group of players. In all honesty, all of them should be recognized as much as they can because I mean, Steve, he's been in the league for how long? Just what a name. Same with Wee Man. A ton of those guys like Mythics is growing. Harry, he was already previously in the league for a little bit and then came down, and he's still a staple in the scene. And then Real, of course, we love our Spaniards. I mean, those guys are just unreal. I'm happy that they are actually solidified now with everything, but I mean, group of guys were awesome. We got to really get close with those guys as well, and wow, I mean, talk about some players. In all honesty, I'm not the greatest at Call of Duty by any means. If anything, I'm more entertaining to watch. But wow, are those guys unreal good?
I mean, they're incredible, and I mean, the Spanish. I mean, it doesn't really seem
Yeah.
that many bad players come out of Spain. Like, if they make it to like the top end of challenges, they just seem to go all the way. Like, they're
Yep.
incredible, and the Spanish has worked really well for you. So it's impressive. You've got a good recruiting structure, that's for sure. Who brought Real onto the team? How did that fall in place?
So, I'm not gonna go too crazy about the whole situation with Harry and all, which is okay. He parted ways with us. Super great player, super great guy. But he I mean, hey, it's business. You got to go do your thing, and he chose to do his thing. And the players, the other ones, we talked to them, and they pretty much invited on Real because of the whole situation with him and his lawyer messing up his thing with the Carolina contracts and stuff like that. But in all honesty, Real came on, great fit. He was super excited to be, with the guys. I mean, I was not hesitant. I was like, yeah, bring him on. Another Spaniard. We like our Spaniards. So uh, I was super excited to have him on. I mean, talk about a CDL player in all
Hundred
honesty.
percent.
So
I mean, and if anything, you know, no slander to the core four before, but I mean, personally, I think it looks like an upgrade. The team looks like it's
oh
grown.
yeah.
Whether it's the new update that suits them more, the natural flow
Hmm.
of just learning the game. Now, more weeks we're into it, but they look
Yeah.
incredible, and I think even more now for me, they look like the team to beat. Maybe with War just below them.
Yeah, I think having Mythics kind of fill into that AR role now
Mm.
with Wee Man, being like the flex player, but like actually pursuing AR more is helping him out because, in all honesty, Mythics was a good sub and he's a flex, but like I feel like he felt more comfortable with the AR and being able to kind of like
Yeah.
bridge his more of a Slayer type role instead of just filling. And of course, Real he could just run it and gun it with the sub. So I like him a lot. I like that team a lot, and they are really good. I will say that they are really good.
They're a talented bunch, and I mean, we spoke about Boston as well, the top 12 placement. I just wanted to get your perspective on it. Not had a chance to speak to you since the event. Um,
Hmm.
how was that placement for you? I know that the NA sort of looked a lot better than the EU, but going into that, I know everyone wants to win it, right? But was that
Oh
an
yeah.
acceptable placement for you? Was it below? What was the vibe after? How was the feeling?
Of course, for us, we're happy with how the players, do in general. They played pretty decent the whole weekend. It just is that whole new patch, everything not being able to warm up and stuff, all the situation stuff that happened. Um, as org owners for us, we're trying to, build the brand, build the organization. Competitively, we all want to win, but we understand how things plan or pan out. top 12 isn't the best, of course, but you can't be mad with top 12 when some of those other higher teams have placed under you, and some of the lower teams that weren't really like, all out until that weekend place higher, and they're just hot. And it's Call of Duty's a game where it's by the day,
Yeah,
and you can wake up Friday frying and then wake up Saturday and it's a whole different game, whole different momentum. And I feel like that tends to happen with us a lot. Of course, last year that was our main concern was the first game Saturday. Every year, um, all last year and then the beginning of this year, it was like Saturday first game is always the make or break. And of course, in Boston, Saturday this first one, it was like, ooh, we came out hot 2-0 and then almost got reverse swept. And I was like, oh man, that is not the greatest way to start, of course. But I mean, top 12, still, there's so many good teams that also placed around that era. I
incredible.
mean, yeah, it's like, you look at those teams all in the top 12, it's like, jeez, I mean, that's a lot of good players and a lot of good teams just in general. I mean, you lose to the number one seed,
Yeah,
or well, we were the number one seed, but we lose to the winners of it, right? Boston, and then we lost to the second place team. I mean, you can't be 100% mad with that whenever it's like the two grand final teams that you played were the grand final.
yeah. Oh,
So,
so you could have literally, if you'd have got to grand, you'd have played one of them anyway. So it's like it
yeah.
is what it is.
Hmm.
But I mean, it was as well talking about the Boston event again. Like, how much of you and Deviants were there? Like the whole
Yep.
setup you lot had, the content you were doing. It was fantastic. Hopefully, we can see some more brands replicate the same thing because
Hmm.
if we can grow from what we done at the Boston event in terms of the numbers, the brands, everyone that was there, I feel like the scene's in a really good place. I'm just concerned this year we might have started with the better ones and it might get worse throughout the year.
Yeah. That's the one thing that I talk to my guys a lot, and Boston. I am a networker. That's how I met you. That's how I met everybody else, like Jack and all
Yeah,
them. And I like to get out and talk. I like to talk to other peoples, other orgs, that are very influenced by just not even just content, but just having more of a networking path of getting out there. And that's the one thing that I take from Boston, is like, yeah, maybe it didn't go as well as we planned for our org, winning or anything like that. But we got out there, we got to network, we got to expand, and now look, me and you are becoming really close friends, and we're doing podcasts together like this. And of course, there's so much more content to come, you guys. Like, in all honesty, this is nothing compared to what we can do later down in the future. But yeah, no, that's at least how I take it. I know the other guys are also feeling the same way, and we'll go into it. What kind of, not rebranding, but more of a reset button on what we're going to do with at least Call of Duty content. So
I love it, and like you say, I mean, a lot of people won't realize that the main benefit sometimes for the orgs getting out there, or a big portion of it, is that networking side, which obviously a
yep.
lot of fans, a lot of players, they don't really see that aspect of it. But for an org point of view, that's a huge part, and that's why you do such big things in the community. And speaking of such big things you've done in the community, we've got here, you've also shown so many other ways in supporting the EU Challenger scene, with you powering Marky B's new podcast that I'm sure we're going to talk about, working with the rotation, content creators, watch parties, the long form content you've done around events and your teams. The list is absolutely endless. Ultimately, for me, you've been one of the biggest supporters in the EU scene in recent years. It's obvious to me that you love this space, but why and how much potential do you see in it?
So, like you said, we've tried to do as much as we can, and of course, we do love the EU scene. You guys are awesome, and I think that's the thing that we took from it. The NA scene is great. We have a lot of friends over there in the NA scene. They're a little bit more of a, what's the word I want to put? More of like, not as flexible as you guys. You guys can just do it all. You guys are able to like be in videos when you don't even think you are tired and you're like, "Oh man, I just can't do it today." But in all honesty, you guys are like, "I'm going to do it."
Yeah,
I'm so dedicated. You guys are so flexible and super genuine. You take everything that you do for granted, and we love that. We love that. You guys are just awesome. And of course, we've been working with the rotation ant for so long. He's actually one of our content creators slash influencers for our team. I mean, he has us tatted on his arm. It's crazy. He's like my brother. In all honesty, we love him. Like you said, Marky B's podcast. We've been pretty much helping production, sponsors, and all that stuff like that. We've been helping him out with all that. And if you haven't already, go watch the ReChall. I'm a plug. I ain't gonna lie. I'm sorry,
We'll
but I
plug it
got
below.
to.
Don't worry. We'll plug it
Yeah,
below.
please, please. It is super awesome. Those couple of guys like Proper and all them, like they're awesome guys. They know what the scene is too. They always talk about it. But we love you guys. Like all the EU group of people, you guys are so dedicated to the craft, and that's how we feel. Is we want to grind. We want to be close knit family and just constantly be always making content, supporting, and that's what we love. We love that whole support scene, and I think that's what kind of helped us grow. Is like we had this team that was last year super great, but it was almost like we were always trying to network with everybody and always trying to get out there. And of course, we had our hundreds of co-owners that we had. We're all young and we're all like goofy kids, and everybody's like, "Who the heck are those guys?" Like standing behind. There's like 18 of those guys standing behind the players watching them, and it's like we're all goofy cheering, making dumb content, running around with our phones, and it was just that's just how it was for us. And you guys, of course, you guys liked to talk to us about it and talk to us in general, and that's what we like. We just love talking, socialing. But yeah, that's how I feel like we kind of grow with the EU scene is we're all just connected and we're all just growing. So
No, I mean I love it, and I mean I think on behalf of the scene over the last 2 years, all we can do is thank you for everything you've done and everything you're going to continue to do with all the great projects you're working on already, let alone what you've got up your sleeve. But there is one thing I'm curious on. So obviously last year Notorious, it was his own separate entity in the Call of Duty space.
mhm.
This year you teamed up with Deviant. How did that DevNot collab start? What was the reason behind it?
So last year at the end of the year in Vegas, we met Austin in Toronto, but in Vegas we really got close to Austin, who is the owner of Deviants. And we had a podcast with him. We hung out with him a lot, and he always brought up the idea of like doing a like merger, kind of just to benefit everyone, just both orgs and everything like that. Um, this year we were talking about a lot, maybe not even getting back into the scene at the beginning of the year before COD even released or whatnot. Um, but it was almost like Austin kind of convinced us to like maybe take on this merger and maybe grow that way. Because we were just going to go the whole year with no team, but we were just going to be involved with the scene still. And in all honesty, use our connections and make content. But yes, the DevNot thing started right after the game came out. Of course, having Vortex last year and us having Wee Man, it was almost like a perfect fit. So we were like, oh my gosh, this is perfect. We got our two main guys that we loved so much from last year's teams, and we're just going to combine them and add Harry and Mythics to it, and that's just a super team. And we were super excited for it, and we were trying to do a bunch of content and stuff like that together. Um, and we still have a bunch of professional photos, some videos, and stuff like that what we've made, and it was just a really good connection. But of course, after Major One, some other things came up, and we'll go into it. Other teams started merging as well, and we decided we didn't want to take on too much that we could handle, and we just decided, hey, let's keep the brand, let's stay positive. Nothing against any other of the orgs that went over to Omit, and Omit's great. Rafi's the goat. I love that guy so much. uh he takes care of all of his guys. He's super genuine, and he's a competitor, and I love it. But we wanted to keep our brand and kind of just be like, you know what, we might just stay out of the scene for having a team for now, and let's make content. Let's get all these recognitions for all these other teams that need it. And in all honesty, like, yeah, like a lot of like you guys keep thanking us for all the stuff that we have done. No, you guys are the ones that are doing it. You guys are, I mean, look at all the streamers that you guys got. Look at all the things that you guys are doing. You guys are doing watch parties, all these tournaments. I mean, you guys are doing it, in all honesty, and that's what we like to see is
Yeah.
you guys doing it. That keeps us positive and keeps us going to like, hey, we got to do it too. We got to do it just as good. And if we keep doing that, it's not even competition anymore. It's just we're just growing. We're just
Yeah,
growing and making each other better.
yeah.
So that's how at least we see it, and that's the direction we chose to take was let's get more into the content side of things and let's build. Let's build.
Oh, yeah, no, I love it. And you touched on it there. Obviously, that was the conversation that me and Jack had in regards to Noctum at the start of the season. I think we said on one of the podcasts that even if we don't do it and we don't do it fantastic, we're still doing it, which means other people have
Yep.
got to do it. And then, like you said, there's this ladder effect. And if it isn't benefiting us and we do it wrong, at least the scene's growing. And if we are doing it right, the scene's also growing at the same time. So hopefully, and I think we have seen it, a lot of people have started doing the watch parties, have started doing more content, and it's only going to help the
Yep.
scene. And that's the bigger picture, right? We want to get the scene back to where it is. But I know that some of them org owners are probably going to be watching this. They're going to want to dissect what information they can. It's only natural. So I've got a question. Uh, was it more beneficial sharing naming rights with a squad like Deviant, so it was DevNot, than by yourself under the assumption that obviously all finances, getting teams to event, all of them costs are going to be halved? Or
Hmm.
would you say, as an owner, you'd recommend others not to do it?
Um, that's dependent on how you feel about it. That's at least how I would say or present it. Of course, you have your pros and cons to each of the sides. Having a team by yourself and your org and everything is under you, it takes a lot more work and a lot more money, of course. But it also is yours. It's your baby. You can take care of it and you can grow it how you see. But if you want to merge, it also gets you expansive, right? You're expanding throughout different orgs now. You're kind of taking on that role of not as much work, not as much money being spent, but then again, you also have to share, and it's like I would say it's dependent on what you feel for the other org owners that are trying to maybe make decisions and see where you can go with certain things. I would say if you care enough for the scene, you just want to do it the way that benefits everyone. Of course, Deviant's Notorious, we still wanted to at least stay involved with the scene as much as possible. And we were like, you know what, let's do the merger. Let's stay involved with the scene. Let's do our thing. And as much as we can, let's benefit everyone,
Yeah.
right? Of course, we did that. Deviance was awesome. And we were trying to do as much as they did and as much as we could do. And I think it benefited pretty much as a whole, both of our orgs. Not saying that, it of course top 12 wasn't, the best of the best, but then again, we took what we could and we were pretty much growing together. But yeah, no, I think it's up to the org owner. How do you see the scene? How do you want to go against everybody else? Because like this, right? We're doing a podcast together, Team
Yeah.
Notorious and Noctum, right? We're friends and everything, and we're still competitors, but it's at the same point where it's like, you still have to keep the connections and grow together and grow the org and grow the scene. It's like, how is everybody going to benefit from it? Now, if you're just a solo entity and you just don't even care about anyone, that's not the greatest way to do it, in all honesty, because then you're not going to grow as an org. So I can see either side of anybody taking either way, but in all honesty, you want to grow as much as you can, and whatever way benefits you, I think that's the best.
Yeah. No, fair enough. Like you say, down to the direction they want to take. But obviously, there's an argument for both sides, like you say. Huge financial benefit as long as you both grow at the same time. But ultimately, it's the way you want to take it. But
Yep.
that is the past. That is the history. For anyone that wasn't too familiar with Notorious, I'm sure you were, but maybe if you weren't, hopefully that gives you some background into what we're going into next. So segment two, the one a lot of people are probably most interested in, the step away and the future. Now, the main question is, why the step away now? Were your hands tied when Omit acquired Deviant?
Um, as long as I could remember, Deviants in them, they were awesome. They were doing their thing, but I feel like they always wanted to connect and grow together with somebody, which is 100% awesome. We love to see that. And I don't think it was like our hands were tied with Deviants leaving or anything like that. We were still focused on majority what the best fit for the players, right? If we wanted to keep them, in all honesty, like say I'm not saying that Omit would do this by any means, but say Omit would acquire them and ruin their whole team or whatnot, which Rafi would never. Rafi is an awesome owner. He's probably, in all honesty, he's probably the best of the best. He just does it the way he does it. But in all honesty, we felt comfortable with giving them to Omid because we knew that they were going to take care of them. And Deviants was like, yeah, we are interested in what Omid has to offer for us. And as TN, we were like, we're just on the other side of it. We are not, but we still want to keep the connections. So taking a step away, it wasn't like our hands were tied or anything like that. We were just trying to take care of the players and then focus on what our decisions were at the least. And of course, it took about a week or two of actual talking with everybody and getting everything situated and everything on the right track. And now that they're OMIT EU, I support them 100%. They are great guys. OMIT is a great organization. They acquired a lot after this past major as well. And I think they're just going to grow more and more. And in all honesty, they are going to be a super org, and it is great for them. I'm excited. And taking a step away is, I hope it doesn't backtrack us, and I don't think it will, because I think we're dedicated to the future, which I will start to get into, and the future of content. And me and my buddies in the org always say there's three things that keep orgs growing and keep them big. One is content, two is sponsorships, and three is merchandise. You got to promote all those three to keep it growing. And of course, if you have the right content, the right sponsors to do it, and the right merch that you're selling and giving out all the time, it's like you can't, you really can't fold. Your ROI or return investment is always going up, and I think that's a big hit. And in all honesty, orgs like us and orgs like you and orgs like Omit and all these guys, they're growing by focusing and hitting those marks, right? And I think that's what we wanted to focus on, was those three big things, and maybe step away from having a team for now, and maybe in the future we'll have a team again. But that was pretty much one of our big ones, that we wanted to step away and pretty much promote the future
Yeah.
that way. But also, the Call of Duty scene is in shambles right now, everywhere. So we didn't want to step away from the scene in general, but we wanted to at least get our feet back on the ground for how much they had us jumping around and doing crazy stuff. So we at least are settled in now. We're still involving ourselves with the scene. Me and Jared, one of the other org owners, are going to Miami. We're gonna have a blast, and we're gonna meet a bunch of people and network and do content and do a bunch of things. So I'm excited for that. But we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens.
I mean, hopefully Miami happens, and hopefully we're all
Yeah,
there, and we can all have a great time. But yeah, who knows where that one stands? I mean, have you
yeah.
heard anything on the matter? Because
At least from what I've known is there might be a actual major for challengers, but it might be a week after or whatnot. That's at least the news that I've been hearing, or the backstory stuff. But they're trying to get it not. They're trying to get it the same weekend, but it's very hard and a lot of money and a lot of time. And even if they get it the same weekend or the week after, it will be an hour away from the venue. And it will actually be in Miami, not Fort Lauderdale. So I pretty much can guarantee you that, which that kind of hurts. That kind of hurts.
yeah, just beating after beating. But
Yep.
what can you do? It's the ecosystem we're in. But while we're on the Deviants takeover, sorry, the Omit acquired Deviants takeover.
Hmm.
How hard was it to leave when you were arguably the best team to beat in Europe?
Um, it was difficult. It was
Yeah.
very difficult. Me, Jared, another org owner, Chap, um, and another org owner, Larry. We're all really good friends, and we've talked about it, and it hurts. Of course, them winning the last event for under Omit, or under DevNot, was awesome. I mean, we got a special message from Chilt and or Wee Man, and it really hit us in the feels. It's tough. It's tough to lose something, but everything happens for a reason, and everything, in all honesty, comes to an end, for certain things, and it's just another chapter in our book. And I feel like, as we see it that way, um, we're writing the next chapter, and we're writing a new chapter, and hopefully, we can just continue adding on to our big story that we're writing. But hey, you lose the arguably #1 seed. It's you're still supporting them. You know, you're still supporting them through Omid EU, which is great. Which is great. We still love those guys. So
100%. I like the next chapter, by the way. I think that's a great way to put it. And like you say, with the squad, I mean, I've like had it myself. Like when you leave a brand, you leave a team, whatever. Like you still support them. They're still your boys. You
yep,
built such a connection with them. You spent so much time with them that you can't, even if they're on the opposite team and you're playing them, you still can't help but like, oh God, I love you
yep.
a lot.
GGs, I love you guys.
Yeah,
Yep.
no, absolutely. I mean, will we see you back in the current ecosystem, or will something need to change before you step back into challenges?
Um, at least this is always a hard question for me, because we talk about it all the time. At least from what we're seeing, I feel like something does need to change. I feel like there has to be more of a structure and a more of an organization terms of it. Um, but don't count us out yet. There's always a chance that we come back. This year, maybe not so much. Maybe somehow towards the end of the year, something happens and a lot of change does happen, and we do acquire a team. Maybe we'll see what happens. Of course, we're not too concerned with things like that, where it's like the future we hold, we don't know yet, right? There's always a thing, right? You live for the day, and then tomorrow's the future. You can't tell the future. But today's the present. That's why it's a gift, right? We gotta take it as a gift. So we live day by day, and we have goals to hit. We're definitely not scared to say that. We definitely have a bunch of goals and short-term goals that we want to hit and make sure that we can get to. But I don't want to say count us out. We might be back and have a team soon, but expect a lot of content and a lot of different things to hit with other organizations, of course. And we love all of our EU guys. We love all of our NA guys, all of our Call of Duty guys in general, and we have a ton of things to come. So don't expect us out yet, but maybe it not having a team so much in the future for now. For now.
Never count them out, but I mean, I talk about this with other people all the time, other owners, people in the scene, that the current ecosystem we're in, it seems like you almost had to jump, like you said, day by day at an opportunity. If the right opportunity arises, that's when you look at it, and that's when maybe you can
Yep.
get back into a team. The right thing has to be there at the minute for it to make even half a sense in this ecosystem. But would you look at another collab with another org, maybe for a one-off event in the future again, or do you think that is you done now on a collab front?
Um, we do like a bunch of other organizations. I feel like it would depend on the org if we were to do another collab, of course. Um, we're not really that stingy with anything too. We do, of course, like to have our brand shown, but like then again, it's like if it's benefiting the players or benefiting both organizations and everything's having more pros than cons, yes, we more than likely we would be able to do another collab or anything like that just because of how we are as a group of guys and our organization stands. But I guess it would just depend. It would just depend on, what we can do and what we can build together. But you never know. Maybe nobody ever wants to do that again, and maybe other people were like, hey, we're just trying to do our thing, and it's like, okay, yeah, no worries, no worries. If orgs need help to get to lands or whatnot, right, and there's more pros that we can build each other up, I mean, in all honesty, that's a good take. And hey, that's why we did it for Major One. It was a lot of pros, not a lot of cons to having a both mergers, and it definitely helped us get all there together, right? And us and Deviants, we were hanging out every day. We were always together. We were always doing our thing, and that's pretty much why we did the merger. I recommend that if you get close to a group of guys and they're from another org, and you can promote both your brands and also just be yourselves with those other guys, it's like, or girls. I'm sorry. I know there's girl owners out there. I know that you guys are hustling. You guys are hustling. So, but yeah, if you guys along together, right? Group of people get along, it's like you can't beat that. You can't beat that at all.
Yeah.
So I would say, and if it was in the mix and there was some other org owners that were actually down, we wouldn't shy away. We would see and hear them out and see if we can maybe make something happen.
I love that. Again, the opportunity's there. It will be looked at. They're not closing out anything. I completely love it, but let's get into it. What does 2024 look like for Notorious?
Yeah, so a big hit is, of course, being one of the content directors and an org owner. A big hit for us is pushing content constantly. We're actually trying to rebrand everything and build everything through content creators that we're bringing on, and also, bringing back or whatnot. And we're trying to push as much as we can. Consistency, bigger numbers, and stuff like that. That's huge. And more content. We want to produce more videos. We want to produce more streams for people to watch and explore more games. That's the one thing that we like is we love Call of Duty a lot, and we've branded ourselves, or at least majority of our org is through Call of Duty. But we also had our own GTA role playing server that we had, and we had streamers that were variety streamers playing different games. And there's a bunch of things that we can hit, and all of our marks can be added up into one massive org. But in 2024, I'm really predicting. I hope this is going to really help us out, but I'm predicting that 2024 is going to be a big year for us, just in the terms of content and creating content. It's still February, and in all honesty, I'm going to say it by probably about December, we're going to upgrade the YouTube channel. It's going to be a lot more videos to have on there and a lot more podcasts and such. And there's going to be a lot more streaming going around. And I at least want that to happen, and I'm pushing for it really hard, and I'm trying to work as hard as I can for it. So, um, then again, we might have a Call of Duty team at the end of 2024. You never know, right? You never know. But at least for what we're pushing, 2024, we're trying to make it like it was our year last year in 2023, where it's just we are just growing and pushing and pushing. So that's at least how we see it.
I love it. I mean, lots to come, and don't be surprised with what Notorious hit the news feed with, because it could always be a surprise. It could always be something massive. But we have touched on it. One thing that you are partnered in, you have powered, worked with, is Marky B's new podcast. So do you want to roll us into that?
Yeah. So of course, we always had this idea of maybe producing a challengers podcast, and uh, in all honesty, as org owners, not a lot of people would watch it for like us, if that makes sense. I mean, yes, I can be entertaining and I could do my thing, but I'm not very knowledgeable as considered somebody like Marky B or the Rotation Ant or Proper Cast or any of the people that are coming on as full time or guest stars, right? Those guys are the knowledge builders. They know their Call of Duty and they do their research. So we wanted to build a podcast, and of course, Marky B was talking about it, and we were like, "Hey, we've already talked to Marky B a lot, right? We're pretty close with him." We were like, "Hey, Mark, like, we got Ant, and we can get some other guys, like some casters and stuff, and you guys can make a podcast. We'll help you production wise and produce things and get clips for you and do your thing. We could be almost like a sponsor." And he was like, "Heck yeah, let's do it." And we pretty much merged together and started working together and doing all these things. And I think it's really good for the scene, having him just kind of go over with his knowledge and also his build that he's built up his alone social networking just through him. And he's an awesome dude. He knows his Call of Duty stuff. Having Ant, of course, on there representing us as best as he can too makes it even better. And yeah, I think we wanted to build off that podcast and do it. Of course, we've talked to Mark. If anybody needs a filled slot, I would just go in there to make people laugh. That's pretty much what I would do, which is okay because I don't know anything about COD really. But hey, that's pretty much what I would do. I'd pretty much just go into fill and guest star and represent TN as much as I can. But that is a great collaboration to work with them and all those guys. We have pretty much the knowledge of knowledge in there, and I mean the first couple episodes are awesome. So I hope everybody enjoys them.
I think they have, and like, it's a great thing for the scene. The more
Oh
people
yeah.
that can do stuff like this, get any coverage on the scene, I mean, it's absolutely huge. And like I say, with names like Anne and Marky B, the brands they've already built for themselves, like they're able to get this out to as many people as possible, help your brand, and ultimately help the scene, which is incredible. Have you got any other projects that you've got up your sleeve?
We do have a couple of projects. Of course, can't disclose them really, but we can give you a little bit of hints and stuff like that. But we've been building. We've been asking a lot of content creators, maybe what their views are, and maybe if they wanted to potentially join TN under as a content creator. I'm not gonna throw any names out, but some people have considered it. Some people already had offers, sadly, but um, we're bringing in a lot of different content creators and a lot of different people that have built their own brands and such. But I would say overall, looking about like April-ish, May area, we're gonna be cooking. We're gonna be pushing for a lot of things. There's a lot of different things that we're gonna be hitting, and of course in May, Toronto's a big one. We got the Call of Duty major in Toronto, and the same weekend you have a huge Smash tournament for Super Smash Brothers in Gommel. And I'm just gonna say that might be a little hint to maybe something coming along. So we might be doing some content over there as well. So if you guys are and any interest in the fighting game community as well, we're also expanding over there. So but yeah, there's gonna be big things to come. I'll just say that.
I absolutely love it. Now, is there anything else while we're on this subject that you want to throw in the mix?
Um, I mean, of course, if any org owners are watching, or any players, or anybody that really wants to grow individually, I would just say this: you can do it. You can do it. I mean, we had a thing that just fell into our lap, and we took a huge risk last year of taking it. I just want to shout. I hate doing shout outs for specific people
Go
because
for
it's
it.
always like, yeah. I just want to shout out Censor. I mean, for tweeting about that team last year, and we picked them up, and we took a huge risk in getting them to Raleigh, and we thought maybe it was just going to be a one-time deal, send them to Raleigh, do a major one thing, and then that was it. We were like, and then we would be done. But I mean, look what happened. We never would have thought, if you would have asked me a couple years ago, that I'd be involved like this. It's unbelievable. So chase it, chase your dreams. And of course just do it, just go out and do it as much as you can, and work for it. If you work for it like that, I mean, you cannot beat anybody, because the only person that's holding you back is yourself. That's it. It's you. Everybody else, in all honesty, there's going to be people that are going to put you down and put you to wherever you need to be. In all honesty, you're the one who's holding yourself back. So that's all I got to say for that. But I mean, yeah, I want to grow with everybody. I want to grow with everybody. I want to have so many people come in, and I want to have friends and build these relationships with people. So don't be surprised if this is not our last Team Notorious collaboration, because I really would love to have more videos being put in the mix with you guys, even if it's like not myself just included. But I'm down for whatever. You guys want to play games and stuff, I'm down too.
Well, I'm gonna have to hit up Jack, and we're gonna have to have a conversation, because I think a Notorious and Noctum collab would be it would be a
Oh,
pretty
it'd be
cool one.
awesome.
Yeah,
It would be awesome.
it would be absolutely incredible. But I think that's about everything. I mean, anything else that you can think of?
Yeah, I mean, thank you so much for having me on. I just want to say that. I mean, it was really awesome having you reach out to us, and being able to be a part of this. Me, I like podcasts. I love hearing them. Right, I could just put it on the car or whatnot. I put it on just hanging out doing work. Right, on the computer, I'm just hanging out doing work. I can listen to a podcast, and I'm super excited that you brought me on. And there's so much more to come, of course. And I just want to shout out you guys and Noctum for what you guys are doing, because you guys have such a brand now that you're building, and you're doing everything and working towards it. And of course, that's going to motivate us and motivate other organizations to push it. Um, but yeah, that's pretty much all I have. Shout out to my guys, of course, as well, all the TN guys. Um, Personally, like, I might pick on you and mess with you, but like, I love you guys. They're your family. And shout out sponsors, of course, for us. I'm not gonna say them because this is your podcast, so I'm
Fire
not
with
gonna
them,
say
mate. You
'em.
fire with them. We'll
Hey,
drop everything below anyway.
nah, yeah, true. But yeah, shout out at least to the TN sponsors. So thank you guys for having me on, of course, and yeah, we appreciate you guys a lot. What you're doing.
Ah, we love it. The grind never stops, as you know. The grind never
Yep.
stops. But I mean, that concludes episode 17. So, Roger, I mean, generally, thank you so much for coming on and giving me the opportunity to talk to you. It's been amazing. Hopefully, this gives lots of people some insight, knowledge into what Notorious have coming up, and some of the reasons why they stepped away. And we're going to be dropping all of Roger's, all of Team Notorious, the Merky B's new podcast, all below in the description. Please go check it out. If you are watching on YouTube, hit the subscribe button. If you're listening on Spotify, leave that review. And until next time, that is it.
Thank you so much.